Welcome to another bot bash with Unnormalism. Today we are playing Battle Realms, or watching Battle Realms, and we have chosen to see Shinja as the red, fighting off a one against one with Otomo. I can't see Otomo. Oh, there we go. I think it was because I had Shinja selected. Do I lose Fog of War whenever I select? Yeah, so I'm currently in judge mode, so I can see what the other players are seeing when I select them. I don't know if that's true for observers. But we're going to see a good old Dragon vs. Serpent showdown today with Otomo in the orange against Shinja in the red. I really wish there was a broader field of view. This game, Battle Realms, has just come out on Steam, which I won't be playing because I have the GOG version, so why would I need Steam? Maybe if they update it, add some additions to it, and do some nice things with it, give it that 1080, 1980, whatever it is, field of view resolution support, then I'll jump right on it. But until that day, I'm just gonna watch and enjoy in my traditional, good old fashioned GOG version. uh, Glad to have you on board with another episode of Bot Bash. I plan to be doing these a little bit more frequently now. I got a new microphone, so if you can hear some nature sounds, it's because this microphone's a little bit more sensitive, and there happens to be a lot of nature sounds over in Australia. So far we've got from Otomo an Alchemist Hut versus against Swordsman. That's a very strange matchup. An Alchemist Hut out now for Shinja. I don't imagine there'll be much conflict early on that this will be a real problem. But if you're against other players, those Alchemists, I think they outrun Swordsman, but they don't outfight them. But you could sort of do some chicanery. If you get two or three of them, you can sort of, kite around and get some shots in. Tank with a peasant while they blast away. The explosive damage early on can be a little bit interesting. It's also just fun to watch the bots, how they build and play and fight. I don't know if we have... Is that a unit producing there? That might be a chemist coming out now. And it's a dojo next for Otomo. It's been a little while since I've actually played, so forgive me if I am a little touch out of touch. We've got the chemist straight out. Can combine that into the dojo to make a Kabuki warrior. Over here we've got chemists and swordsmen, which can of course turn into raiders. Raiders not very good early on unless you send two or three of them to try and light some buildings on fire, but even then they're not very effective. Got one out now. You're really better off having a full army with raiders. The fire damage they do is very small, and their health, if you actually look into the numbers, isn't basically any better than a tier 1 unit. They're really not worth upgrading except if you're trying to burn things down, and their damage is not particularly great. Fire damage is good. It's good against certain things that are kind of unusual, but just not a great unit overall. You really gotta get your value out of what they can do. Of course, if you're a real jerk and you give them their power abilities and then you run out to the opponent's rice field and set those on fire, you can set them back for a bit, but it's not a big difference. Archery range, so it looks like they're both getting their full production buildings before they go any further. Yep. Shinja currently has the slightly larger armor, finally got a crossbowman. That's a nice little addition. Crossbowmen, I've always liked them as the first unit just because of that rapid shoot, 2, 3, 4 times before they reload. Not as long range as an archer, but certainly just a very quick unit as well, so you can also move them around very fast. I like the quick units. They seem to be very useful at sort of getting in and out of trouble, especially early on. If you get lots of enemies, you can always just run back to your peasants and throw a peasant at the enemy and stall. The way units engage in Battle Realms is very unique, and that's always been a big, I'd say a selling point of the game was the way that combat plays out. In fact, I'd say combat is one of the most interesting parts of the games, which is why it's so frustrating to have a unit UI that just doesn't tell you anything that they do. If they redid Battle Realms so that it told you damage, DPS even, like Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War does, or health, or just stats in general, range, things like that would be genuinely useful. Armor type, something like that, That'd make a big difference for people being able to understand and play the game better. So we've got our first attack going out here. It's 3 raiders, 2 bandits. I believe those are bandits? Yeah, bandits and a crossbowman. And they'll be facing up against a dragon warrior, an archer, 2 dragon warriors, sorry, and a chemist. I think this battle goes in favor of dragon just because, unless that chemist goes away, goes in favor of dragon just because Raiders aren't too big a deal, but now that Chemist has gone away, I think it actually might go the other way. That Archer will make a big difference as long as they don't get pulled into the fight. Dragon Warriors, I think, toe-to-toe are stronger than Bandits. We'll just see if we can select everything here so you can see what's going on. As you can see, that Raider is getting absolutely slaughtered. Dragon Warrior in the back is going to go down pretty quick, and that puts these Archers in danger, but there's not going to be a lot left in the back to fight that Dragon Warrior. This will be an easily repelled attack at the end. And here comes a Kabuki Warrior. Magic damage on that sword, which can be useful against certain units. It really comes down to what's weak against what. Looks like Dragon's going to lose not as much as the Serpent. Again, those 3 Raiders, just not very useful. But overall, not a bad effort. Maybe if the Raiders had been immediately utilized to run over and burn down some buildings instead of engaging in the fight and the other units just distracted, then that would have gone better. But it wouldn't have had a big impact either way. So, Shinja, you're a bad player. And this is why you lose in all the campaigns. I don't know, does he rebel in the Serpent campaign? That's just Otomo, isn't it? Otomo rebels if you play Serpent, and Shinja kills Otomo if you play Dragon. So it looks like Otomo's the one who always dies. I like these Cannoneers. Their damage is, I think it's... Oh, I can't remember. Blunt or explosive? It might be blunt. But it can carry through targets, which is always unique. I think that's something to say about the units in this game, is all the units are fairly unique in what they do. You don't really have... I don't know if there's any 2 units the same. Maybe the Swordsman and the Acolyte are kind of similar. Can I see upgrades? No, I can't. Damn, I wish I could see upgrades. That'd be a cool way to sort of check who's been doing what. Yeah, the Swordsman and the Acolyte might be the same, because they're both slashing tier 1 units, but Ronin and Samurai are leagues apart. You know, every single unit is just that little bit different. I love that little frog there. We've got a Samurai out, a Spearman, and a Chemist. They really need to be getting a few more units. Got a Chemist in the tower, that's not great. Another Spearman's going to become a Dragon Warrior. They have a... what are these? Shrines? Shrine. To get some unit abilities already, which are very useful. I think you can get Yang Blade from the Shrine, which... that's okay if you're going for upgrades, or if you're going for hero units, or just monks in general. Yang Blade's very useful for that. It also changes your attack type from normal to magic, which again, depending on who your opponent is, that can be very useful. I think magic damage might be more effective against Ronin, I think. I'm not 100% on that. Like I said, I haven't checked these things out for a while. Putting a Cannoneer in the tower, I disagree with that entirely. Put a Rifleman in the tower, Musketeer. Musketeers are the best single ranged unit for damage in the game. I think the only thing that's better than them might be the Archers, and that's only because the Archers have more range. I can't imagine a single unit being better than the Musketeers. They do explosive damage, which is unique for a tier 1 unit. It's not unique, Chemists do explosive damage. They do explosive damage, but they have just ridiculously high damage. And we've got an attack here coming out from the Dragon. 2 Samurais, a Chemist, a Spearman, and a Dragon Warrior. Otomo's going to throw that straight into this and get absolutely destroyed, especially if that ability goes off. What do we have over here? Getting horses now for Shinja. Horses can make a real difference, and never underestimate them. I used to turn them off when I first played this game, and it was the worst decision I could make. That Chemist is doing a lot of damage to that building. That's that explosive damage, and this is where the Dragon are going to get absolutely destroyed. The tower turned them off. It's just a free frenzy just here now, getting absolutely chewed to bits. The Chemist is still shooting that peasant hut, which wouldn't be too bad if they had 2 or 3 Chemists doing it. That building would actually be dead by now. But as you can see, that Samurai's going to go down, and this Chemist will be soon to follow. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. The Chemists, not very strong units, but look at the damage they did to that hut. That was quite a lot for how little time was spent on it. I think there was like 5 or 6 shots. Got a couple of units coming down through the woods now. Not entirely sure. Whoa. Oh, they're fighting a wolf. Oh, it must have attacked a peasant. Gotta watch out for them wolves. The wolf clan will get you even when you don't think they will. Best clan in the game, wolf clan. Except for the fact that they have like 1 damage type. So... this is now looking a little better. Town Hall, they're teching up. I didn't actually see that Yang Blade get used, so maybe the Samurai just got distracted and didn't get to see anything. We've got a metal shop. Thieves Guild, sorry. That's not the metal shop. I like the metal shop more. I think there's an upgrade that I really like in the metal shop, but I can't remember what it is. Thieves Guild gets your Blood Bond, which could be great for your Samurai, your Ronin. You put Blood Bond on your Ronin, and you Blood Bond a bunch of geishas who stand next to each other. And then as your Ronin take damage, your geisha just keep healing each other. And then it's up to your opponent to really focus on those geisha, or your Ronin are very tanky and difficult to take down. If you throw in the right supporting troops for, a group of 4 or 5 Ronin, you can tear through an enemy army who just doesn't properly deal with them. Like Musketeers, again, they're just amazing if you give them any of their upgrades in addition to what they normally do. So Ronin, again, that's very effective Blood Bond in that circumstance. This is just a small raiding force. This isn't going to achieve much. You've seen what's over here already. There's Samurai, Kabuki Warriors, Spearmen. 5 units isn't going to do anything. If he wants to make some real damage, he needs to send those Ronin. Ideally, get that hand cannoneer, sorry, out of the tower. Get the hand cannoneer out of the tower. March the full army over. Do as much damage as possible. While the enemy is fighting that, you build up a new army and prepare for the retaliation using your home field advantage. Because the thing is, when you attack, you have to basically assume that you're going to go up against an enemy watchtower, which means you have to assume that you're going to lose the battle most times, or at least you need to do as much damage as you take, in a way. Resources in this game are fundamentally infinite. You never run out. So the damage you have to do has to be delaying what they would otherwise do. And in this case, delaying them would be taking out a dojo, because a dojo is worth several units, or taking out an archery range, or taking out, whatever. And once you've taken out the dojo, then you go, well, next time they attack me, they probably won't have samurai, they won't have dragon warriors, they won't have spearmen, they won't have kabuki warriors. So I can guarantee that they won't have a big front line when I next attack them. And so you can attack them with the intent of taking out their barracks, their dojo in this case, and then build an army at home that will complement attacking them next time. And the other thing is, you cause economic damage even if they run over to repair the dojo, not because it costs resources to repair the dojo, but because it's pulling units away, peasants away from gathering resources, and it can just give you a small advantage that way. As you can see, the resources the AI currently have stocked up are fairly low, so if you do that bit of economic damage, the AI won't really recover. But as you can see here, the AI is actually cheating a bit. They can see that there's an attack down here in the forest, and they've moved their army around this tower to defend, which is a kind of unique twist on things. I wonder if you can manipulate this as a player by sending some units down one way and then a bigger army up the other way. Does that cause them to all flock to one side? So you could send like an army of 5 units down and then 5 unit raiders up to the top, light some buildings on fire and pull them in. As you can see, these horses are coming out. As I said, they're invaluable. They do so much work for you. They take a lot of damage, and can't really see what's going on. I think that might have just been a wolf. Oh no, there's a bandit in there. He's luring them back to the army. This is a tactic the AI likes to employ. If you've ever played, you'll see the AI does this a bit, where they run one unit out, they attack, and then they run back into the woods, and it basically lures your army over into an ambush. It's not very effective. The AI often just completely flubbed the attack, but right now it's doing a little bit of work, actually. Unfortunately going to lose a Ronin for that, but should be able to get this Kabuki warrior, hopefully, without losing too much. No, they're going to lose all this army, and that's going to be a complete wash for them. As I said, the Serpent Clan, this attack was never going to work. But it does raise an interesting question, is if you employ this tactic where you lure some units into the woods, would you be able to then rush a few raiders over the top and light a few buildings on fire? Because as I said, if you do an attack, you need to make sure it's going to do some damage. You need to make sure that you cost them something, like you cost them peasant huts are not permanent, but that reduces your resources for each peasant hut you lose. Each peasant hut provides you a little bit of maximum resources. You can lower that down. It also, each peasant hut makes you build peasants faster. So the more peasant huts you take out, the more you're damaging your opponent economically and military-wise. Their ability to produce units goes down with their peasant huts. So you want to hit as many of those as you can, or just these production buildings to give yourself an advantage, not in this battle, but the next battle. Got another small raiding force coming through here. I call them small raiding forces. This is actually like a nice little attack, but unfortunately, the Dragon Clan just has too many units, and as you can see, they've all gathered up, ready to fight, like they know where the attack is coming from. I wouldn't be surprised if a tower gets placed up here somewhere. for the future. And dragon towers are devastating to fight under. It's incredibly hard to even compete, just because that long stun gives them so much chance to hit you. I'd say the only one worse is the wolf one because it lasts so long. So yeah, here we go. There's going to be another attack. They're completely outmatched. They've got horses. An archer is already shooting. Well, he's missing. Good job, archer. You keep doing you. So they know this attack is here. That archer is slowly getting lured away. That could actually be a big get if they pull the archer all the way up and pick him off alone. Units have a mind of their own in this game, quite a bit. And that samurai is running off on his own. Oh, is he joining the attack? Yeah, he's going to go throw himself at this. This is a waste. Oh, he's luring! He's luring them in. Well, that's not going to work. They're going to lose an archer for that. Yeah, that's going to be an absolute waste of a horse and an archer. As you can see, that horse took all the damage for the archer, which is incredibly valuable. And now the archer is going to get slaughtered. That is just a big waste. I would, at this point, go in if I could. This is the time, you know. Where's the geisha gone? Is she... She should be over here healing people. If you can get your geisha healing upgrade, it is invaluable. She's going to get wasted real quick. Overall, another wash of an attack. They're doing alright, though. A bit better than you would expect. That, unfortunately, this is where they get cleaned up, because they've got so many units left. But it wasn't an awful attack. It just wasn't great. They kind of got a little bit of a lead. What you really wanted is a Ronin to die to put that debuff on the enemies as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's just not very useful. This samurai is going out on his own. He's decided that the honorable path shall be to die alone in fighting the Serpent Clan. And he's going to quickly find there is... Oh, is that one of the enforcers? Yeah. Haven't seen a lot of enforcers in battle. He's doing alright. And there goes the samurai, and he's going to burn up this enforcer, do a little bit of damage. That hit buildings? Nope. Samurai are very interesting in that when they die, they deal damage. I can see a little army here, and I'm not sure what it's doing. Are they just checking for more serpent? You know, when there are maps like this with heavy woodland, I personally like to send in a raider to destroy a bunch of trees. I'm about to have a cat walk through in front of me, so I'm going to give her free passage, and hopefully she doesn't trample on my keyboard. Not a lot is going on, so I can pause to give the cat that freedom. So down the bottom, we've still got this little army coming through. Not sure what they're planning to achieve. And up here, still building up forces. I imagine once the teams start to cap out on resources, do they bank up much? Not really. Let's have a look at the economy. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 peasants harvesting rice. I don't know if I agree with that. What you want to ideally do is have a whole bunch of peasants getting you resources as greedily as possible. Like, have 5 or 6 peasants if you can, and 1 watering, or something like that. Getting you as much rice and water as possible, because... And build a bunch of houses and town center and everything. And that way, you get as much economy going as possible. Then when you've got lots of resources, you put all but just a few peasants into your army. And then you have this big army, you have a big stockpile of resources that slowly builds up with the rest of your peasants. And you send in and you have a big attack. And then when your army dies in the attack, because there's a good chance it will die, because of the towers defending and all that kind of thing. When your army dies, you have this big stockpile of resources and this sudden flood of peasants pouring out that you can immediately turn into units. That's that's an ideal way to play, whereas when you've only got 1 peasant, you know, 2 peasants on rice, what are you going to achieve? You're never going to get buildings. You're never going to be able to go up your tech tree. We've got the Assassin's Den now, Metal Shop. Yeah, Enforcer coming out. Yeah, just having a look through. Seems pretty standard. Like I said, they need more resources banked up to tech up. Might see a keep soon from Shinja. Otomo, again, he's sort of in the same situation. He doesn't have enough resources to build the next buildings, so it's just waiting for that keep. And once they get the keep, they'll sort of be in the end game, so to speak, going for a watchtower now. That's good positioning. They've got pretty good coverage of their base between the 3 towers. That's like the only gap, but I don't even know if that's a gap. To do anything, they'd have to go past one of those watchtowers. They won't be in range of the stun effect, but this is interesting. We're seeing a dual attack. So for a start, the Otomo is attacking into Shinja, attacking under a tower. There's only a few units here, because at the same time, Shinja is attacking on the other side of the map. This is only a small attack, so it won't achieve much. So let's go check out what's happening over here, because this is actually going to do a lot more. We're seeing, unfortunately, that Raider's going to go down very quick, because that Raider could have done good work. The Geisha's been pulled into the fight, which means she's going to die pretty quick, not provide much healing. And turns out this attack was repelled incredibly easy, because this army split in two. So it seems like both attacks were kind of a wash there. But right now, Shinja is very weak. He committed most of his forces there. Didn't do a lot of damage. He's got a few units there, a Geisha and an Enforcer. He's got a couple of towers. So if Otomo doesn't pounce immediately with a good unit composition, this could actually hold him off. But if he ran these horses over, these 3 horses, got these units over there, don't care about the Cannoneers. Can I please select him? Yeah, don't care about the Powder Keg Cannoneer's stamina. Just run him over there as quick as possible. Get him in position. Shoot down this tower with him and a chemist, or that tower, and attack with your front line of units. Get in there, do some damage. Keep the archers focusing on the actual the units that are vulnerable to them. Don't have them waste their shots on towers. This isn't going to work, rushing in like this. The Cannoneer really just needs to shoot the tower, and he's not going to. He's going to stop and attack this peasant hut or something stupid. There you go, you've got immediately stunned by the tower, and now you're just ruined. I see some units actually in the back trying to lure some units away, but this Powder Keg Cannoneer has walked all the way into melee range. And unfortunately, again, this is a waste of an attack. And these 2 units look injured and running. I wonder what they did. So unfortunately, again, Otomo doesn't have the front-forward attacking power to take this down. And I suspect this is going to go on for a while, this back and forth of waiting to get to, again, keep tech, get a big unit. Is that a second alchemist hut? But why? Okay. Just checking Otomo didn't decide to do something equally as silly. Until we get to the keep, we're not going to see a lot of difference in this game. Those Zen warriors do make a huge difference, but really what the AI wants to do to make a real difference in the game is build up a big army. This is weird. I'm not sure what that attack was trying to achieve. I mean, really just quite strange. I guess this is a good chance to talk about some of the passives that units features. That some units have as a part of them. Specifically, over in the dragon side, I'll see if I can see some of these units. I can't remember if the chemists have anything. Most of the units have some sort of unique hidden passive effect that they have. Like the samurais that you've probably seen before. When they die, they release a burning field, and I think that can hit allies as well as enemies. It does a small amount of damage, but when you're talking 4 or 5 samurais, that actually really stacks up. Never send your samurais into your dragon thing. That's just a waste. It does no damage. Don't do it. Powder Keg Cannoneers, they occasionally throw salt on the ground as a sort of nod to sumo traditions of salting the, for good luck, good fortune, ward off bad spirits, that kind of thing. I'm not sure what the specific ritual is, but that's the kind of intent. And when they do, it gives your allies a small attack bonus. You'll see the little swirly golden ring around them. So that's a cool little thing. Kabuki warriors, I think they can entertain peasants or something to that extent by juggling flames. You'll see them occasionally juggle these flames, and that's actually their ranged attack. Oh, wow. That peasant got destroyed. Good job, wolves. The wolf clan is the real winner here. And so all these units have little different unique effects. I like this flag on the back. I wonder if that represents anything. Like if that's just a generic flag or if that's like Shinja's flag. It probably isn't. It's probably a heck of a lot of nothing. It's glimmering though. It's so cool. Unfortunately, this isn't going to go very far. There's a few units here. A samurai in the tower. Never put samurais in towers. Only archers. Samurais are worse than archers at archery. The fact they have archery is basically useless, but a nice thing if you somehow can't get into melee range with your samurais. Never put samurais in towers. Chemists, they're okay. I think they're fine. You can do that if you feel like it. This attack force is going to go nowhere. There's 2 geisha in it. There's no good melee in it. There's an enforcer. That's it. Oh, is it because a whole bunch of units got dragged up here fighting wolves? This attack's going to fail so bad. They really needed the full force of their army. What other units? I think... Well, like I said, the hand cannoneers, they have a line attack. Got a geisha there. Yeah, Kabuki warriors, we'll see if this guy juggles. It tends to take a little bit for the units to trigger, and if you're moving them around a lot... Oh, here we go. Here's the big engage. The Enforcer's going to do alright just because 2 geisha, but as the geisha get pulled into conflict, they're not going to be healing as much as they're doing as they're dying. So as you can see, the geisha's being torn down. There's a big messy fight. The chemists don't do a lot of damage. I think they might do a little bit of damage, but they're mostly good for taking down buildings, which is actually one of the unique reasons you can use them early on. As you can see, a whole bunch of units just getting torn to shreds. And the raider. So another whiffed attack, but I think they got at least a couple of units. I think they might have killed... Yeah, I think they killed the dragon geisha. Good job. So we'll keep a watch on these Kabuki warriors. See if they juggle. Come on. Just take out your fire and juggle. I don't think it does anything to allies, but it's there. It's a feature. Yeah, the chemists. Definitely an interesting unit. I do appreciate what they do. Oh, here we go. No. Yeah, so he's juggling. So that juggling actually gives a small boost to peasant speed, I think, when he's around them. So the chemist, if you build chemists early on, you can actually do this interesting thing where you sort of rush the enemy. And as I said, destroying peasant huts is a big deal early on. So if you get 2 or 3 chemists, and you saw how quick just one chemist was tearing through buildings, you can rush them over and destroy maybe a peasant hut in only like 3 or so volleys of attack. And maybe you'll lose 1 chemist, maybe you'll lose 2 chemists, maybe you'll lose all of them. They're quite fast though, so you attack with them really quickly, take out a peasant hut, and leg it out of there. And your opponent is left wondering, what the hell did you do? Why did you waste your attack like that? I'm going to attack you back with my, swordsmen or crossbowmen who are better at fighting. But it doesn't matter early on. Peasants can fight early on. A peasant hut is 50 rice early on. A peasant is free. So it doesn't matter if they retaliate, so long as you don't lose any structures in return. Because destroying a peasant hut slows them down for the rest of the game, so to speak, because they've got less peasant production overall. The impact is lessened with time, but the more things you take out early on, the more difficult it is to get set up, and that kind of thing can really give you an advantage. Peasant huts especially early on, just because it's so expensive when you're only getting 30 rice a delivery and you've only got 3 peasants. A peasant hut is 2 deliveries of rice. 1 delivery of rice is a unit. 5 is a building. It takes so much to get started in this game that taking out even a little early on can be really devastating. And there comes the keep. That is going to make a big difference to this game. We'll finally see some Zen warriors come out. Hopefully we'll actually get to see Shinja, the man himself, come out to fight for the Serpent Clan. This is actually a sizable army showing up here. A few swordsmen. That's okay to run a couple of swordsmen. Swordsmen have a place, but most times they're going to be strictly worse than bandits because they have less health. The real reason you'd want to use swordsmen is for... Oh, there we go. Ninja, straight away. That's not great. Ninja are not good. I don't know. Ninja are okay range units. They're kind of... They don't do a lot, to be honest. I don't know why you'd want ninja compared to monks. Monks are at least sort of... They're good at fighting. They have blunt damage, which is okay. But their real feature is that they can stop and start healing. And if your enemy has to make a choice of hitting a unit that's healing rapidly or ignoring them and letting them heal to full. And then you just throw them straight back into the fight. So monks are really... They have a use, whereas ninjas can go invisible, which doesn't really have a use. I don't even think they can attack while they're invisible. And it constantly drains stamina. So they're not that useful. If they could attack while invisible and just shoot people in the middle of a fight, that would be much, much better. This is going to be another ambush force. They're going to sit in the woods, hit a peasant, and then try and lure some units away. And completely whiff and fail at everything. This attack force is rushing into the fight. Hopefully, there goes the stun on only like 1 unit, I think, which is pretty favorable. Unfortunately, this raider is throwing his torches at the horses. I don't know if that does, how good damage that does, but as you can see, only the enforcer is stunned, which means this attack, not as bad as it could be, but because there's such an emphasis on geishas, that's kind of funny, watching the geisha 1v1 a samurai. That's actually very slow damage there, because neither of those do good damage types against each other. I'm pretty sure that's what the colored symbols mean is when a unit doesn't take a lot of damage from an attack type, which means these two do very, very poor damage to each other. Unfortunately cleaned up, and this peasant is similarly going to get cleaned up. And you'll now see a large force of Shinja's warriors come down through these woods. But interestingly enough, I think this is favorable for the dragon, because if the dragon can catch these forces out and kill them, then the dragon will actually have a decent army at home and a decent army out here to fight with, and they could run over and actually do some proper damage. And that, I guess, was the risk of building the keep, was investing so many units, investing so much resources into that, meant that they didn't have an army to do these two-pronged attacks, or fight these two-pronged attacks. The samurai went down. This fight's getting a bit hairy. I think, yeah, Shinja's going to clean this up pretty handily. Unfortunately, no upgrade on the archer, I don't believe. Oh, look at all that yang. Please spend the yang on upgrading your archers. Archer upgrades are the best in the game. You get a damage upgrade and a range upgrade. Archers are so good with those. Please, please, always get those upgrades. They are a priority. If you are playing Dragon, archers are one of your best units. If you put just a few units in front of them, and then you just have a bunch of archers, you know, you can make a huge difference because of how gluey the combat is, how units get stuck fighting together. Archers can do so much work from the back line. You'll see that a lot in this game. Units might seem not great like the chemists, but there's certain features they can pick up to make all that difference. We're still waiting for something to come out of this keep that matters. We've got a ninja still kicking around. There he is. Ninjas do, I think, piercing ranged and slashing melee, but they rarely get into melee range, and when they're in melee range, they die pretty quick. So, kind of an awkward unit. In case you didn't know, units do different damage types, and they do different effectivenesses to different units. So, slashing units, like these swordsmen, slashing type, but not every unit has the same standard armor. Some units are more vulnerable to fire, some are more vulnerable to magic. I try to bring up the ones I can remember off the top of my head, but because every unit has unique weaknesses and strengths, it's impossible to remember. Dragon warriors, for example, are very resistant to magic damage, which makes them great against warlocks. If your opponent has lots of warlocks, you send in a bunch of dragon warriors to fight them. And that's because warlocks in melee range do magic damage, and at range they do explosive damage. And samurais are very weak to explosive damage, so you send in a bunch of samurai against warlocks. The warlocks fire off a volley of shots and waste your samurai. You're better off using dragon warriors against the Lotus, basically. Until they use different units, but that's a very good, basis. If you see them using a lot of warlocks, you use a lot of dragon warriors. Dragon warriors are cheaper. You can get more done with them. You can give them, abilities and effects. You can give them Fireblade, which changes their attack to fire, I believe. So you can make them modular on their function, as well as just being your frontline unit. Or better yet, you can invest in other better backline units for winning that fight, like archers, or you can get more economy, you can get more buildings, you can get more Zen Lords. You have the opportunity to do that when your opponent invests in the tier 3 units and you build their appropriate counter. What is going on up here? Did they run into a bunch of... Yeah, they ran into wolves as well. They were just clearing that out for the peasants. I thought maybe that was going to be an attack force, but no. Looks like still nothing happening. As you'll notice, the bots aren't really good at this game. They're actually quite bad at it. They don't really know how to win. And only a human player might lose to them, but I don't ever remember really losing to them either. Not even when I played very aggressively. In fact, I remember my brother and I played a couple of times against bots that are, 6v2, basically, we played against the bots. And we always managed to find a way to sort of hold them off and win 6v2. So, as crazy as that sounds, but it's just possible. If you play a strategy right and you work together and do those things. What we ended up doing was we would build very close to each other because you can actually share, a decent sized rice patch like this. You can share it. And same with water. You only need a small source of water to share. And once you've done that, you've got 2 towers in a single spot. You've got twice as many units. And sure, you have 6 times the opponents coming in and attacking you. But because you have the tower advantage, you have the local production advantage, you're producing units on the spot, As long as you can deal with their armies as they come, you're okay. Whereas when you go 1v3 and 1v3, both sides have to succeed and you both have to win a 1v3. Whereas winning a 2v6, I mean, it's not great, but there's still, you know, that wiggle room. You can focus things better. You can combine your strengths rather than being divided by your weaknesses, so to speak. Someone actually asked us to do a Serpent, how to win 2v6 as Serpent, and we actually did that on a specific 8-player map where we ran to a corner and built together. But what we discovered was that how we ended up winning was we didn't play against the Wolf Clan, because the Wolf Clan is actually very good against a lot of early Serpent Clan things. They have a lot of, like I said, those armor, or their defensive types were resistant to getting attacked by wolves again. Are there any more wolves? Yeah, there's one more. He's going to cause a little bit of trouble. But maybe it'll be fine. There's only like a horse left, so maybe after that he'll be done there. But yeah, we did 2v6 against all the AI. We both played Serpent. He focused on the melee units, and I focused on the ranged. Sorry, he focused on crossbows and swordsmen, so we could get bandits, and I focused on muskets and geisha. So I ignored building a sword, you know, building a tavern, building all these things for ages. This is actually quite a sizable force, and if it groups up, it could do a lot of work, especially because this army is going to rush out here to fight it, and that army is not going to arrive all as one. They're going to split up with the horses first and get a couple of units picked off. Then the faster units will get picked off. There's actually a super effective fight for Shinja right now. This army here isn't even going to get involved. Maybe the samurai will shoot and the powder keg cannoneer, but they're going to lose all of their fighting units in here, which is very bad for for Otomo. Otomo's losing so much here for basically nothing. I mean, a couple of units were lost, I think, but look at what they're taking in return. They're going to get 2 powder keg cannoneers. They got a kabuki warrior, and they got a samurai. They got a horse, and they might lose a swordsman. Yeah, they're going to lose this swordsman. Oh, they're getting shot from up there. That's actually really bad. As you can see, that powder keg cannoneer, not doing a lot to the individual units, but the splash damage is really making up a lot of that work. And the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be. Over here, we have an engagement, but under this tower again, look at that, immediately thrown off all their horses. What a waste. And now the Serpent Clan is actually stealing some of this and taking a complete advantage. This tower is going to go off again and throw that man off his horse, and it'll be all for nothing. Vetkin is out. Vetkin, you don't need a horse. You have infinite stamina. Vetkin's a jerk. But you know what? Vetkin is a very valuable unit. If you run him into a fight and your enemy uses a lot of the battle gear, and then you sap away all that stamina, that's just battle gear wasted. Especially effective if your opponent's relying on their geisha to keep their army alive. There's Budo. I would send him to stand around peasants. He actively sort of buffs them to work faster, and then you can... Sorry, he passively does that, and then he can actively also do it, make them work even faster. So I think he's better used there. In battle, he's mostly just really, really tanky. He's not very good at fighting, though. His damage isn't great because he's so tanky, so he's more about withstanding enemy attacks. If you can get him getting attacked by a bunch of people, that's better than, you know, if he's trying to damage. He's more about that absorbing than hitting. This army is getting wasted right now. That was a bit of a waste of an army. At least they got the kill. But now they're going to move on, and this army's a lot weaker than it was. I remember there was a musket in here that must have died to that cannon. And that hand cannoneer is going the wrong way, which means this army's going to be even less effective. 4 swordsmen and 2 crossbowmen and a ninja. What is this? The start of the game? Except with a ninja? You know, you might as well trade him out for another crossbow. You're not going to do anything with this. You had an advantage and you threw it away. Shinja, this is your life. Well, here we go. These guys, I assume they're going to attack. Yep, here they come. They're not going to get anything done. Oh, well, okay. They might do okay, because the enemy team doesn't actually have a lot defending. They actually have mostly tier 1 units. These crossbows really need to be shooting the enemies instead of attacking the building if they want to get more work done. That ninja is also still attacking the building like an idiot. Well, because of that geisha, I mean, this went pretty good, all things considered. That geisha's going to get torn to shreds by that ninja. Can we grab a bunch of units there? It honestly is a shame how that played out. I would have... Ninja's still attacking the building. There he goes. I would have liked to have seen more of the dragon forces killed, because they were kind of vulnerable there, and they still are fairly vulnerable. They don't have a lot of units right now. I'm wondering why. They're getting fireworks. Otomo seems really behind all of a sudden. And I'm not sure entirely why. He's got one samurai. He's got a badly wounded spearman, an archer, another spearman, a chemist. Another spearman training. He's used some Zen, so maybe he's got some upgrades. What upgrade you could really use in the Serpent Clan is the poison attack from archers. That stacks up. That poison attack really does make a difference over time. You shouldn't, doubt it just because it's got requires 4 of your yin. That 4 is well spent on those archers and bandits doing the poison attack. It just stacks up. That's all I can say. You have to sort of see it in action. Every battle from then on is a little easier. It really can make a difference. There are other upgrades that are equally good. Like I said, if you're getting Geisha, you should always get the thing that lets your Geisha heal for less stamina, so they can heal like 3 or 4 times in a battle before they run out. But if you're doing crossbow things, there's a crossbow upgrade. I really wish Shinja would just group up a big ol' army, but I think he's focusing very highly on Zen Lords, which is not bad if he can get Utara out to support this. And there is the man himself, Shinja. Best of luck, Shinja. You gotta kill Otomo, either because he's a traitor or you're a traitor. And having a lot of Zen Lords does make a big difference in fight, because Shinja's got a poison attack. He can debuff an enemy team. Vetkin can steal all that stamina. Utara can stun in an AoE. All those Zen Lords make so much difference in a battle, but they need an army to support them. And right now, this isn't much of an army. You've got a ninja, a raider, a swordsman, an enforcer, a geisha, and another enforcer. You've got a hand cannoneer running about who needs to join that fight. And that looks like basically all of it. There's a few units, throw them in, they'd be fine. The AI has this weird idea that it needs to defend, when really it should just be very much more aggressive. And you know what? If you ever want to have a really fun time playing against aggressive bots, you can do that. You set bots. You can make your own custom bot, essentially. It's not really a custom bot, but you can go in and make a little notepad document of bots and set them to have really high aggression and have really high, whatever you like. Like maybe you want them to have lots of Zen Lords. Well, you set that to 100, and now they're focused on Zen Lords. And so you set all these things to maximum. And the AI can play really aggressively, just as long as you don't set stupid things to maximum, like, I don't know, like horses. Horses are good. Set it to like 50. Don't make it mandatory that they need an army of horses before they go out, because the AI will do it. They'll be like, we need horses. We need 100 horses. We need our whole army mounted before we'll go to war. And that just doesn't work. You end up with these stupid situations where you should be fighting a really hard opponent and you're not. That is the way to make the AI much more interesting, is to give them 100 aggression, because they just won't leave anything at home, if I'm remembering correctly. So you can do that. You can just go into, it's in your documents of Battle Realms, maybe in the Battle Realms folder. It's in one of them, and you can look at the AI and just, it's just copy one of the AI, paste it, change the name, change the values, and then suddenly that's now in the game forever. You can play that whenever you want. So here we go. This is going to lure out a bunch of forces away from the safety of their tower, and it's going to be a very close fight. That was a very dramatic slam. As you can see, abilities going off immediately, draining these units. Geisha in the fight. Budo is getting slaughtered. Well, you can see a lot of chaos going on. Shinja's poison against that samurai. Not very effective melee unit, though. Samurai very resistant to bladed attacks. You can see that, actually, Dragon's losing out pretty bad here. We've got, what are they? The Battle Maidens. That's what they're called. Don't remember all the units' names all the time. Vetkin's pretty badly wounded, but he's still a quick and speedy boy. That samurai is actually taking a lot of damage from the raider up the back, while this one is tanking all the damage. As you can see, they're super vulnerable to different things. Once this raider starts contributing, that samurai will die faster. Vetkin might go down if he's not careful. Oh, full heal. So this looks like Shinja is going in for a killing blow, and we'll see what damage he can get done. Unfortunately, if he gets caught on this tower for too long, it'll be an absolute waste. Actually, the stables is burning pretty quick. Between the hand cannoneer and the raider, while these units are actually getting in on the peasants, and that is what you want. You want to see those peasants get dragged into melee and slaughtered wholesale, so that they don't actually end up contributing anything. Serpent units across the board are starting to get picked off. That heal on Shinja from the Geisha was very valuable, but she's going to be a long way coming for stamina. She's on a horse, though, which makes a big difference. Geisha on horses is very valuable. That stables, once that's down, the army should be able to move up and take out this tower. It's pretty low. Vetkin is going to be free reign on those peasants and probably slaughter the whole bunch of them. Budo went down. Again, he's nothing special. Get in there. What's the raider burning? Is he burning that? Not what you need to be burning. Geisha stamina is getting there. Alright, now take out the tower. There we go. That's a big hit. Raider, do not get taken down and do not get distracted. Please set the building on fire. Please, 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 please. Oh, is that a swordsman in there? Oh, that's not good. Protect your geisha. Protect the geisha. Not protecting the geisha. That horse is doing so much work for the geisha right now. She might actually survive just fine. Vetkin coming in. What a chivalrous man. Saving the day. You monster. You threw a torch at the horse. That raider really needs to contribute over there, or it's just a waste. Hopefully the geisha has enough stamina to heal this raider before he dies. There goes the stun, but it's not going to do anything because the cannoneer's out of range. Raider healed. This does look like it's the end. If this force comes over here and contributes, that is it. We've got a few more units over here. Oh, another tower is on fire. That is actually invaluable. Hopefully that burns down. Oh, you know what? That cannon shot is going straight through and hitting the town center. I can't remember what the upgraded version's called. So yeah, it looks like Shinja's going to take this. He's actually slaughtering everyone all over the place. The Dragon Clan cannot get back on their feet, and this is where a keep would become, very in handy. He's got the resources to produce 4 monks, or to just drop 1 or 2 Zen Lords straight away onto the battle and get them in there and fighting and protecting his base. But right now, the Serpent Clan is just allowed to run rampant. This guy falling out of the tower, this samurai falling out of the tower, is actually probably going to be more helpful than if he was in the tower, because at least now he can, contribute to the fight. But this raider is going to go and set that dojo on fire. So here he goes, and you can see Vetkin and Shinja are having a very hard time taking down this samurai, because they both do, I think, slashing, which he's very resistant to. So it's a very slow kill, and it's better if you use explosive or magic damage against samurais, just to sort of whittle them down. Where did that raider go? Did he die? Yep, sad. This guy's going to go off his horse soon. That's fine, though. We're still seeing, just with the geisha and the 2 Zen Lords, it looks like there's going to be a slaughter. That chemist isn't achieving much. Now that they're losing actual production buildings, it's going to be downhill from here. Is that another watchtower? Never going to happen. Should be using that to build units. So now it just looks like we're going to see the slow cleanup of this entire army. And I am going to watch it. We are going to sit here and watch this victory. Shinja earned this, man. It was a bit hairy back and forth, but by focusing on getting a keep, he really sort of proved his worth as a military leader. And this is why Shinja will always beat Otomo. Otomo is too focused on the people, too focused on the peasants, the common man. He doesn't believe in the elites leading the battle. And you know what? You need to strike a balance between the two. You can't be too focused on your elites, and you can't be focused too much on your common folk. The common soldier, I mean. Because you know what? When you get Shinja and Vetkin in here, slaughtering wholesale, as I keep saying, and a geisha healing them, it doesn't matter how many soldiers you have, you're just getting torn down. And they can't even repair their invaluable production structures. This poor swordsman has been trying his heart out to pick off peasants. He's going to die now, sadly. But you know what? They're about to lose their archery range. That's another building down. Really need to focus on these peasant huts, though. He's focusing on the well. Well, okay then. This army needs to be moving. Even just one raider will make a world of difference. But this entire squad, if they got over there, that would basically seal the game. I think the only reason Shinja isn't winning it right now is because he wants to style all over Otomo with his Zen Lords. He's just basically disrespecting him. Complete disrespect here from Shinja. Unsportsmanlike play. Entirely what you would expect from him. Got this raider coming in. He's going to start setting things on fire. I think he'll start with that peasant hut. No, he started with the peasant. Please set the peasant hut on fire. Are you going to chase the peasant? Please don't. Your job is to set things on fire and you're failing at that. This raider is just setting is bothering me so much. Okay, raider, you do you. As you can see, now the peasant huts are falling. The peasant production will start to fall as well, and that will seal the fate of Otomo. What are you doing? I don't get this raider. This is also where the AI are bad. They don't know how to play properly. They just don't know how to do normal things. This game has a little bit wonky paving to begin with, so it's a little bit frustrating to see something like this play out, where the raider is running constantly instead of attacking, when his real strength is just doing this. You only need one raider to effectively set a building on fire. 2 or 3 will do it real quick, but you only really need 1 to keep it going. And that's enough, right, in this situation, to burn this building down while the fight's going on. Again, you really want 2 or 3 of them, but this building's going to burn until that peasant put it out. Fortunately, the hand cannoneer is around to actually do some work. You know what it is? Shinja's just bad at macro. Oh no, the geisha's distracted. Shinja's busy microing his heart out with these soldiers. And he's got a geisha destroying this tower single-handedly. Yeah, this is getting to a dangerous situation for Shinja, because if this geisha dies, and they don't destroy enough, do enough damage, then these peasants could build up and actually turn this around. It would be the saddest day I've ever lived to see Shinja taken down by a bunch of peasants. Honestly, Shinja, do not die to peasants. If you die to peasants, you are just a disappointment to your clan, and I'm never going to let you lead again. I don't think he's listening. He's in the zone right now. Another raider, or did he beat the peasants? In melee range, raiders do blunt damage, which isn't very effective, but when you're fighting a peasant, doesn't matter. Vet can go into town on a peasant. Shinja's getting drawn over from his valuable work to help. But I think that's for the best. Shinja will tear apart these peasants. Vetkin doesn't seem to do a lot of damage. He attacks very quick, but he's not very damagey. What he is he's fast. He can do a lot of things that other people can't. The geisha stopped attacking. Oh boy. Shinja, what are you doing? Okay, finally we've got the army to end the game. We've got a frickin'... Oh, is that Utara? I'm sorry, Utara. I thought you were one of the upgraded geisha. She looks different. I remember her looking different. I wonder if that's because I mostly originally played just Battle Realms and not Winter of the Wolf. But she looks a lot different here to what I remember. Not her icon, just her outfit. I thought she used to wield like a harp or something. Well, either way, they're going in. We're going to see this army. Are they trying to go into the forest to lure forces away? Because it's never going to work. That peasant hut has finally been destroyed, which means the peasants are only going to spawn up this end, which is slowly going to get torn to pieces. This raider is finally doing his job, setting buildings on fire, which is so useful. You see those little sparks bouncing off? They can actually burn other buildings, I believe. So when you have a bunch of buildings clustered together and it's very badly on fire, it can cause way more damage than it initially should have. Okay, finally we're going to see this geisha go down. Oh, she might have actually just been saved by that raider. Is this going to burn? Sometimes flames aren't strong enough. They just burn out. But this looks like it's going to continue burning until it's completely gone, which is invaluable right now for the Serpent Clan. They can use every edge they can get. Really, the MVP here was Shinja, which is no surprise considering it's Shinja in Shinja's game. Against Otomo, no less. Sad we didn't get to see Otomo come out, so we could have seen Shinja kill Otomo once again. That would have made it absolutely perfect. Would have been the perfect game. But we got to see plenty. This raider just needs to burn that tower a couple more times. Yep, get in there. Set it on fire. That's it. Now it's burning real... Got stunned. This was a ploy. They did it on purpose. Now the tower's stun is wasted. This army can rush in. Go on, guys. Get in there. That's a dead raider. That's very sad. And he exploded too. So brutal. Geisha's gonna go look at his corpse and try and heal him. Have you taken... No, that one peasant is healing that way too fast. Where are you going? Get in the fight! Crossbowman now coming to join the fray. That tower is burnt down. Means there is actually a chemist out doing fighting. Which could be, again, very bad for the Serpent Clan if this hand cannoneer doesn't turn around and shoot him, and if Vetkin and Shinja are too distracted to fight. I'll say one of the absolutely damning things right now for the Dragon Clan. They have a lot of water stored, but they're not getting any more water. So, theoretically, they'd run out of it pretty quick, but looks like that's not going to be the case today. And this hand cannoneer will be very slowly torn to pieces by this chemist if no one jumps in. But it looks like there's some help coming. The chemist is going to get shot to pieces by this piercing damage crossbow. And there you can see the rapid attacks. I like those rapid attacks so much. 1, 2. 1, 2. Shot the peasant who's passing. That's funny. Alright, there we go. The hand cannoneer gets to live a little longer. Every single unit that joins this fight makes a world of difference. A player would have bailed himself out of this situation by now. So again, this AI are just really bad at killing players. I don't know if that was intentional or not, if they didn't want it to feel too bad to play against AI, but it just left this circumstance where you can sort of tough your way out of most situations. Like, a good player would still be getting resources. They'd just ignore the fighting. They'd send like one peasant over to fight and then put a bag of rice in here, use that to build a samurai, you know, a spearman or a dragon warrior type thing. Run over, kill the geisha. They'd make something work, something happen that wasn't just fighting to the death. And they'd also, but you know, a good player would also win in this circumstance by sending in an attack force to clean this up. So, is this gonna try and lure a peasant away? That is a peasant. You're catching horses still? Okay, so we might finally see this peasant hut go down, which again is just a devastating blow for each one that goes down. This geisha really needs to get up there before Shinja or Vet can die. It's happening very slowly, I know, but it is happening. And here comes the attack force, led by a peasant. A peasant, of all things, is leading the attack. Shinja, you're so bad at leadership that your peasants are rallying troops. Otomo would be proud, I think. I don't know, this game's kind of gone off the rails a little bit since Shinja started winning. At least we're finally seeing a defeat play out. As long as it's taken. Half the game has been this attack. The other half was waiting for one of them to, you know, pull off an attack like this. And it really played out because Otomo, he didn't have the units. He let a bunch of units get lured up the top in that one engage through the forest, where they got picked off one at a time, even by weaker units, and that allowed Shinja just to have the lead from that point. He attacked with that force that was kind of weaker, but that force kind of only met weak units. It meant Otomo didn't have the chance to build up properly and send in a real attack force straight back to kill him. We're seeing lots of resources and yin points. There should be no excuse at this point. Shinja should just have all of his peasants in military, all of his Zen lords out, destroying all of this. You know, Kenji's brother should be here. I can't remember his name, but he should be here. At least we're seeing, what, is that the last peasant hut? No, there's one more. Second last peasant hut going down right now. Unless that's an archery range. Of course it is. They prioritize properly. They're not getting any rice right now. They can't even build a peasant hut, so they're actually screwed in that regard. If they just destroy this peasant hut, that should be the game basically over, because they can't get any more peasant huts. Yes, they have one more, but that's one more peasant hut. Everything else is going to get destroyed. He was just chatting up the geisha for a moment there. I thought I wasn't looking. It means these two will actually might have a chance to even recover a little bit, because there won't be any peasants constantly streaming out. Ah, here comes the attack force. Alright, this is it. Game over time. Just got this big army of Serpent coming in. I would have liked to have seen Raiders actually do something. I know I rag on how bad Raiders are, but I like Raiders a lot. I like fire units a lot, and I'm very sad that Flame Slingers are so bad in this game. Got two geisha just sitting back there for some reason. Where's Utara? There she is. Get in there. You know, now that you mention it, now that I look at it, I think that's how Utara's always looked. I think I was crazy before. Kill stealing, Utara. Kill stealing. And so now we're going to see a very brutal slaughter of this poor Dragon Clan, led by Otomo. But you know what? I like to think that this is just how it went for the Dragon Clan when Shinja took power. So there's nothing more left to see. This is just a Serpent Clan victory. Decisive Serpent Clan victory. But we are going to let them clean it up. That's the least we could do. Ouch, that peasant's head just exploded right off. That poor man. Oh goodness, that is so brutal. And there's Utara's stun effect. She is so valuable. She just stuns when she hits people. And I think she might stun around her when she hits things. And then she can use an ability to stun as well, which is just invaluable when she's in the front of the fight. It's not quite as good as a Dragon Tower. Oh, here comes more units. Wow. Shinja's really going for it now. But yeah, it's not quite as valuable as, say, a Samurai Tower, but it is still just as brutal when you're picking a fight out in the open. And we're going to see the stats after this. Shinja earned this victory. He gets to see how good he did compared to Otomo. Obviously, it's going to be completely skewed because he's won. But, you know, we'll get to see some stuff. And maybe we'll get to see a greater insight into why he won. There we go. Otomo's forces have been cleared out. That is a complete victory for Shinja. So here we go. Kills. Shinja is massively ahead because of those peasants. Units lost. Same thing. Otomo lost more units than Shinja killed. I know some of them died to wolves, but that means he lost 3 peasants to wolves. Otomo, get your stuff together. Rice and food, yeah. Yin Yang, yeah. Peasants generated so many for Otomo. They trained about the same amount of units, which I think is the real sad thing, because it means Otomo wasn't really behind at any point. He just sort of lost the game. Techniques learned, yeah, that's about to be expected. Otomo had more battle gear. He was spending way too much resources on battle gear. He killed one hero, which was Budo. No surprise there. I didn't see the 4th hero Shinja summoned. No, I did, yeah. It was Budo, Shinja, Vetkin, and Nitara. But overall, it looks like the real failing here was just picking bad engagements, because by all rights, this stuff evens out and this stuff evens out. The resources don't matter much. This stuff is mostly happened at the end of the game anyway. So it really comes down to the units trained, the techniques learned, the battle gear. And quite frankly, Otomo didn't use his effectively. He let Shinja get ahead, and that led to a defeat. So thank you so much for watching this bot bash. I know Battle Realms is out on Steam now. If you don't already have the GOG version, go ahead and get it. Hopefully they'll update and manage it, but keep an eye on those reviews, because currently, as far as I know, it's just the standard game. And until you get 1980, 1920 resolution, I can't remember. Until you get the full screen resolution support, I wouldn't jump with joy, because it does make a big difference to have that extra screen vision, you know? So thank you for watching, and join me again next time for another exciting bot bash. See you for now.